Hello? Time for another story. Greenling by Levi Pinfold. Now, we've had a Levi Pinfold book before, The Black Dog. Absolutely brilliant book. And this, I think, is another masterpiece. Beautifully illustrated by Levi Pinfold and an incredible story. Let's hope you enjoy it as much as I do. So let's start with this first double-page spread of a farm. Slightly kind of brownish, sort of sepia tint, a train track passing along behind. Doesn't look very green. Doesn't look very fertile or full of nature, that's for sure. But here is a bit of green in the middle of our picture, the first picture. What is this growing on barleycorn land? What is this standing where once stood a tree? Is it intended for barleycorn hands? I wonder, thinks he, could this be for me? And you can see this sort of green flower like a protea or a sort of a globe artichoke, and inside is a green baby peering out at Mr. Barleycorn. His wife wants to know where it came from. He says, where the wild flowers grow. She says, it belongs to the wild then, and back to the land it should go. You cannot return for a refund. A baby is not like that. What's picked is picked, what's done is done, and that, barleycorns, is that. So forget what you know about baby demands. This is a different breed. It's clear he has needs only trees understand, a vegetable hunger to feed. You see Mr. Barleycorn giving the baby a little wash outside in the tub. With night fast approaching, Barleycorn says, we can't leave him outside for the crows. If some of this outside were inside, he could settle in safe if he chose. I know what you're up to, murmurs his wife, but keeping him here is not right. Get rid of this goblin by morning. He goes or we're in for a fight. He's scooping up all this soil, making a bed for the Greenling inside the house. Oh wow, look at this. Look at all the plants and birds and creatures. Nature itself has invaded their house. But morning brings stranger becomings, beginning a barleycorn gripe. She says, how will we cook breakfast today? He says, the melons look ripe. Look at their sitting room, their lounge. She retreats to the lounge for a lie down, but her hopes of a rest take a blow. She says, how will we watch telly tonight? He says, just look at him grow. You can just watch the Greenling. Don't need to watch TV. Escaping the house is no option. The transport has taken to seed. She says, well, there goes the shopping. He says, depends what you need. We've got pumpkins and peppers, spring onions and sage. Apples more golden than money. Why would we want to pile more on our plate when we're already swimming in honey? Dear husband, she says, what are you, a bee? You're beginning to buzz like a drone. I'm calling for help to fix up your brain, but grass has invaded the phone. If you look here closely at the old-fashioned receiver, grass is growing out of the earpiece and the mouthpiece. Retreating in rage to her bedroom, Mrs. Barleycorn goes without tea. What's clattering there in the night, she thinks. Why now? Why here? Why me? A screech of brakes awakes her at dawn, then humming upon the lines. A swarm of passengers bound for work are stopped in their tracks by vines. This is the old train track behind the house that we saw in the first picture, covered in trees now, and the train has had to screech to a halt, and the people are getting out. "This cuckoo must go," says a voice in the crowd. "He's pushing us out of our world. These people all need to be moving along. The vegetable must be hurled." "That's a bit much," Mrs. Barleycorn thinks. "The boy is just strange, not bad. A baby's a baby when all's said and done. There's no need for them to get mad." Thoughts boiling over, she bellows aloud, "Well, I think your head's gone wrong. We should welcome this Greenling into our house. We've been living in his all along." It's a beautiful portrait. Suddenly flowering with all the attention, Greenling sits up and speaks. An old magic word, long since forgotten, cast an odd spell for weeks. They ate up the apples, the mangoes and plums. They ate up the oranges too. They ate up the fruit of the Greenling, fruit much too good to be true. So all these people who came off the train, suddenly this spell is upon them. Some sort of magic has been worked by the Greenling, and they're starting to enjoy the nature's bounty, the harvest that has been growing around them. So a long summer began and continued, a harvest with each morning light. Strange and enchanted Greenling cuisine had everyone hooked on delight. But all summer things must come to an end when summer has grown a beard. As autumn arrives, the Barleycorns find that Greenling has disappeared. Barleycorn says, "He's a Greenling. Who can say what they intend? He left us with this for the winter, but I don't think this is the end." And he shows them into his barn or into his warehouse, full of food, full of the harvest. Potatoes and pumpkins, peppers, gourd, spices, herbs. Delicious. What do the hills and the trees have planned? Does Mr. Barleycorn quite understand when winter has passed and spring is to hand? What will be growing on Barleycorn land? And that's the last picture. So similar to the first, with a few more changes. It looks greener, more verdant. There's a wind turbine here where once there wasn't. But no people. It looks still, it looks quiet. Beautiful. What an incredible book. So, a few things to think about. First of all, Mrs. Greenling. Not Mrs. Greenling, Mrs. Barleycorn. She's very much opposed to the arrival of the Greenling in her house. Why? What's her reasoning? If you were there and you could ask her or interview her, what do you think she'd say? How would she try and justify her desire to get rid of the Greenling? Of course, she changes her mind later, but let's focus on the bit at the start. What do you think the members of the crowd would say? They want to get rid of the Greenling. They say he's a cuckoo. Now what they mean, you might not be familiar with the phrase, a cuckoo in the nest. A cuckoo, a type of bird, will sometimes make a home in a different bird's nest. So I think what they're suggesting is that the Greenling is a stranger in the myth, they should get rid of him. And Mrs. Barleycorn sticks up for the Greenling. She changes her mind. And she says something really interesting. She says, "We should welcome this Greenling into our house. We've been living in his all along." It's a lovely bit. They say he's pushing us out of our world. What do you think they mean? And she says, "We should welcome this Greenling into our house. We've been living in his all along." What does she mean there? We've been living in his world. fascinating. So there's some sort of message, I think, going on here. I don't know if you agree. What does the Greenling represent? Right? That's the impression I'm getting. The Greenling is the embodiment of something much bigger. But what? And what did the people, or at least the barleycorns, what did they learn from him, from the Greenling? Is there a message that the Greenling is trying to get across? Some sort of instruction, some sort of lesson? I don't know. This is up to you to think about. I love this book, and do try and get hold of a copy, because the pictures are wonderfully detailed. It's really hard to do them justice on the video. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. Greenling by Levi Pinfold.